Hey everybody, and welcome to another Jamovi tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about an additional function of the medmod. Previous episode, we went over the medmod module for Jamovi, an add-on module. So there's an additional thing that I said, oh, we aren't going to do in this video, but we're going to do it in this video. I said we weren't going to do it in the other video. We're going to do it in this video, though, because I got a question about it on that video. Can you do, or actually, I think it was a previous Jasper Jamovi, I got a question about whether or not you can do particularly complex mediation or moderation models, like a mediated moderation or a moderated mediation. Well, medmod is the module that you can add on to Jamovi to be able to do more complex mediation or moderation models, or those fancy mixtures of both. So we're going to jump into that for this particular video as sort of a follow-up to that question, because I love getting that feedback from commenters on YouTube, like, hey, can such and such do this? I don't know, let me look. I don't think so, but then maybe that gets around to the developers, and the developers are like, oh yeah, maybe we should add that. I mean, this isn't the same thing where somebody's like, oh yeah, I saw that one video from that one guy, and so we're going to add it in there. No, it was there in that video. I just said we weren't going to do it, and then I couldn't remember exactly what it was for, but that's what we're going to do. As always, I'm using the most updated version of Jamovi as I can. 1.8.2 is what we're at. I think 0.3 is available now for download for Macs, but as you can see, that's what I'm using. But I haven't done that because it's just general bug fixes and improvements, and I haven't come across any bugs yet, so fingers crossed. So that's the one we are using at the time of recording. Okay, so what is this module? Well, first and foremost, it's called medmod, and it's right here, medmod. There it is. You add it by going to modules. You click on modules, and you can see that I've added it here, but you can go to manage installed, and you just scroll down to find it, I'm called medmod. It's made by, I want to make sure it's made by one of the co-founders, Ravi Selker, of Jamovi. So here we go. Let's open up medmod. Now, I showed how to do mediation and moderation in a previous video of medmod on my channel here. It came out very recently, to be honest with you. And I said in the video we weren't going to do jAMM mediation model, but we are in this video. So I've reopened the Coop medmod dataset from the data library. You can find it under, if we go to, I keep doing that. If we go to open, it's under, we go to data library, it's under data library jAMM, okay? And how do you find that? Well, it's very difficult because it's actually not called a jAMM. It's under advanced mediation models. So just be aware of that. Conditional mediation, there you go. Mediation, conditional mediation, and moderation. So there were two variables in here that I got rid of, prime and C prime. We're only going to work with these four. And what I'm going to try to do is set up an advanced mediation model, where I've got two mediators, a predictor and an outcome, two mediators out of these. I don't know what any of them are. There's no notes associated with this. And I haven't been able to find it, to look up some notes before doing it. But, I'm just going to set something up just to show it. We're going to open up medmod one more time, go to GLM mediation model, and it already sets up some defaults here. So it tells us how to get started. It gives us a path diagram, and this is the traditional path diagram that you come across where the mediators up here, your predictors over here, and your outcomes over here. And so then you can identify the values in this path model. And then we have the actual values of the mediation for indirect, direct, and total effects. So here's where we are going to put in all of our values. I am going to make OBS the dependent variable. The funny thing is I'm recording this with OBS, Open Broadcaster Software. The factor, which is going to be Y, I'm going to do is, there we go. There we go. I keep forgetting that Jamovi lists factors and covariates separately based on the data type, which is slightly confusing because sometimes factors are the same thing as X variables, independent variables, and all that kind of jazz. So I get confused. So apologies for that. Yes. So since EXP is a continuous scale variable in Jamovi, then it goes in the covariates box. But Jamovi can read that as a predictor. So these two boxes are predictor variables that go in this X column here. All right. So we are. I do actually want to do this instead. There we go. I want to do OBS behavior. Sure, why not? I honestly, I don't know what this means. I think BEH stands for behavior. EXP stands for experience. I don't know what maybe OBS means observation. Ooh, so maybe what we should do is we should switch this. There we go. Yeah, the experimenter. And then SVO is something. Okay, so this is the this is just a regular mediation right here. This is just a regular mediation. We've got mediators full, and this tells you the model between EXP and OBS. So that's OBS regressed on, or EXP regressed on OBS. M2 is EXP and OBS, or behavior regressed on EXP and OBS. And then we have the path model, which goes bing, bing, bing. Okay, and then so you get all of that information down here. And we have some indirect effects. OBS to behavior, which is our direct path here, is not significant. So with the mediation, so this is a mediating variable because it ruins the connection between our OBS to BEH. Because if we were to take out EXP, we get the total here, which does have, if we look at our estimate here, we have a significant estimate for just the total effect going OBS to BEH. But if we look at each of these paths, we see that there's no more direct effect when we throw in the mediator. So that's really cool. And there are a number of options here. We can choose what the mediator is here, or we can go through the full model. We can add in moderators. There aren't enough independent variables in the mediator model to define a moderate, so you would have to get more variables in here, factors or covariates, to be able to define that. You can go into factors coding, so you can get contrasts in your coefficients. You can scale them, right? We can center OBS, we can standardize it, or we can do none. By default, it's on centered, so that's would be a centered variable. And then we can do some mediation options here. So we can standard, we can bootstrap it. I'm not going to bootstrap it. My computer, otherwise we'd be waiting. Although I would edit it out. I guess I'll edit out the waiting. But you can bootstrap it. You can get individual regressions if you want to show the different models. So OBS by itself predicting BEH gives you a similar effect to what you see here. Estimate is 1, 2, 3, 6. The estimate here is 1, 2, 4, and T is essentially T, beta. They're all essentially the same here. That's why total is without the mediator. You can see that there is a correlation between OBS and BEH, but when you add an EXP as the mediating variable, that correlation is destroyed. So you could say that the mediating variable is predictive of this relationship. It actually mediates this relationship. And then you can do the other. You can also get the path model. And the only bummer I would imagine, the only bummer I get from this, is that you cannot change the look of this path model. There are no. You'd have to add your values here. You could save this image and add them yourself. This is a nice looking image. You can add them yourself. But let's add SVO to the mediators. Look at that. So now we have two mediators. We have our direct effect through the middle here, but then it's being mediated by EXP and SVO, right? So we have three models. We have the full model, and then we have two different mediation models, and then we have two different indirect effect models, okay? So that is the pathing between OBS and BEH goes through EXP and through SVO. So we can look at, and then it just adds this to the existing information that we just had. So again, total, that hasn't changed, right? This regression by itself, that hasn't changed. But now we're going to see whether or not SVO is a predictor of BEH. So SVO is a predictor of BEH. Not quite. EXP to BEH is still good, and OBS to EXP still there. OBS to OBS to SVO down here, absolutely not. So OBS does not predict SVO, and then SVO doesn't really predict BEH. Borderline there. You would need to if that effect exists, you would need more people. There's just not enough power for that particular test, and so that's how you would do a more complex model. And if I had more variables, then I'd show you the moderators. But of course, there are not enough independent variables in the mediator model. But well, let's see if I add SVO back out here, and then we do this. So yes, there's the mediated moderation. Okay, so we have OBS mediated moderation, right? Because we have two IVs, right? We have two IVs that are essentially going to interact with one another. So here's where we would say, so the mediator is EXP. Let's see. Oh, and there you can change the path. Oh my God, that's wonderful. We can do all of them. Okay. I can't. Not enough independent. Excuse you. There we go. Let's do that. And then if you could do this one, there we go. So we have OBS acting as a moderator. So that's the moderated mediation. So OBS now is acting as a moderator, although I don't know if I want that. I like OBS being my, okay, click there. Let's do SVO again. So we can either do two, or we can do one, but I want one of these covariates to be the moderator. So SVO here is acting on all three of these paths. So that's how you do it, right? So we have the interaction of OBS and SVO. We have the interaction of EXP and SVO, and we have the and those two interactions explain the full model here. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, and so we get mean the mean minus 1 standard deviation or mean plus 1 standard deviation for the moderating variable. And so this is how you would do a mediated moderation. I'm not going to go through all of the results because there's a lot of them, but that's how you would do a mediated moderation. So you'd have to put one of your variables into this little block here. Whatever your, so let's say it was gender or something like that, and you wanted to moderate your mediation by gender, right? See what men and women are doing if you've got that dichotomy going in your data. You would put gender in this little box here to work against the, or not work against, or work in tandem at the same time. Simultaneous, that's the word I wanted. Simultaneously with the mediator, that's how you would do it. And so you would get the moderators, the moderating output here. And then, oh, there we go. Here's the regression for the, this is the regression for the interaction of OBS and SVO, which is our independent variable and our moderating variable. And so this would be the interaction of the two. Okay, and then these are all of the regression results, and these are all of the values that you would include on this path model. Woo-wee! So that's how you do the jAMM of medmod, the GLM mediation model, to get your complex mediation equations, your complex mediated moderations, or your moderated mediations. And the last one I just showed you is the latter, the moderated mediation. That's what I just showed you. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like. If you like this content, please consider subscribing for more of these kinds of tutorials and looks at statistics programs, site content, and the like. Thanks for watching.